Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. Join Reiki Master and Quantum Healing expert Wes Coons as he guides listeners through the depths of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment to uncover the version of you we haven't met yet.
Welcome to Enlightenment Unknown, Life of a Spiritual Nomad. My name is Wes Coons, and welcome back to the show. We have a special guest today, actually back by popular demand. Eric, hey man.
How you doing, Wes? Thank you for this invite. I was really looking forward to it. The last podcast, I listened to it, and it was so touching. I don't know. It did something to me, and when you invited me back again, I'm just grateful to be part of your journey.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You've been a part of my journey for a long time, but I think 4 people this week say, man, Eric was really good on the show. We liked hearing the two of us, and my friend Kelsey, she's like, listening to you two guys banter back and forth is fun, but also it was more along the lines of, here's these men that are on a healing journey. And so many people don't see that because there's not a lot of guys that are doing that, right?
Yeah, I guess we're in the minority.
Yeah.
There are those that we're doing the work. We're in a culture where, we don't show emotions. You got to be tough. You can't cry, that kind of stuff. And that's bullshit.
It is. I mean, growing up, my dad would say all the time, you need to have thick skin. You need to do this and you need to do that. And I didn't know any better, and that just put guilt and shame on me for having feelings and emotions, right?
That's right.
And the reality is, I mean, honestly, in society, especially being an adult male, go to work, support your family, do the job, be tough, shut up, and hey, why aren't you sensitive? Why don't you pay attention to me? Why don't you do this? And I'm like, it's not fair. We can't be a machine. Then you turn around and say, hey, why aren't you connected? Because we're told we're not supposed to be connected. And the reality is we're supposed to be connected.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. I like being connected, bro. Hey, dude, I am shy. See, I have to have a co-host on here because then I can say how I'm shockingly good looking. Because if I'm by myself, it sounds creepy, right?
Yeah, it is a little creepy. But today you're looking really, kind of dapper.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I took a bath, took a shower, and hey, you know what next week's episode is going to be?
No, but you're going to tell me.
I am. My friend Fawn is going to come on, and she is going to talk about her going through surviving cancer and just the mindset of that as a woman going through breast cancer. She is so powerful. She is so gifted. She is so talented. And the courage that woman has is beautiful. It's going to be a fun episode.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And so we just had the blizzard of 2025. So we got 3/4 of an inch of snow.
We got more than that. Come on now. I got to take my granddaughter sledding back in my woods. It was super fun.
Nice. I bet she had a good time.
Oh my God, she loved it.
Well, you can't deny she's part of y'all's family. She looks just like your wife, man.
She is gorgeous.
Yeah, she's got that Trinae smile. So is your daughter. So good for you guys. So today, we're kind of going down that journey of, what was next. And we chatted a few minutes before we started here. And, one of the things I like to do on the show is not have scripted stuff and just go off of what comes up because, spirit leads us, God leads us, and the words flow that are supposed to come out. But I think the biggest thing I remember stepping into that next level of whatever Wes was supposed to be is moving in that house at 67th Street. I was so shaken and so uncomfortable in my skin. And God, I was so sad and broken and lonely. I don't like that. When I do the show, I allow myself to go back to those times, and I don't enjoy that part, man. Because I'm not sad, broken, and lonely anymore. This weekend was a little lonely for me, but I told myself that's a fucking lie. I'm not lonely. I could pick up the phone. I could call a friend. I could go to somebody's house. I can go to church. I can do all kinds of things.
The stories we tell.
Yeah, the stories we tell. I'm not broken. At the end of the day, I just got some healing to do, right?
That's right.
It's a new mindset. And so as I was moving into that 67th Street house, trying to understand what was next, I had scheduled to do Reiki 1. And, Reiki 1 was, it changed everything for me, man. It just did. In Reiki 1, in Reiki in general, you get energetic downloads from the Reiki master. Can you explain that? Well, what is that? I can't even 100% explain what that is.
Well, one thing about Reiki is, like we said, it's universal life force energy. And something that makes it different from other modalities is that the Reiki master, there's an attunement process, and the Reiki master will attune the student to the entire lineage that was attuned to that Reiki master. So the lineage goes back, and that attunement is the knowledge of the Reiki masters that have come before. So there really is no doing anything wrong because you're in tuned. So you've been in tuned, and there's just a process of starting to practice it. And in Reiki 1, for me, it started with the self. So I had to learn to be kind to myself. I had to learn to give myself grace. I could love others, but to allow others to love me, that took time. You think, oh, there's this magic thing that works. But for me, it took time. And
Sure.
And that's, hopefully I explained that.
Yeah. So, Eric, when I got my attunement, I had visions and stuff. I don't know what other people have, but the vision that I had when Trinae was giving me my attunement was this golden dragon that was flying towards me, and you could see, you could see these flames like dripping off of it, and its head turning sideways, and looking around, you could see where it's opening in its mouth. And it was just bizarre. I mean, I was in a different place during that. So I think it was later that day or whatever, and everybody was talking about their experience, and I started sharing mine, and everybody kind of just looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Does that happen often to you?
Yeah, it does. It does, man.
You're very visual. So you're very visual, and you see spirits and you see things. I'll never forget the story when we were going down south where you told me about that accident where those folks had died. And
yeah,
you brought those people to the light. And that's something that I look at you and I go, that's one crazy motherfucker. But I know that, through my wife's work, there are people who see those things. I see colors. I have feelings sometimes. There were times when I didn't see anything at all. So, and some of the students will describe nothing. What's the beauty in nothing?
Yeah. And just because you don't see anything doesn't mean it didn't work. It's just what you've seen. Nowadays, when I did Master 3 with you guys not too long ago, and the attunements since my first ones, I haven't seen anything. I'm just sitting there whistling Dixie, and it's like, all right. But it's also hard for me to sit still. My brain goes so much. But that family you were talking about, man, that was 20 years ago. Dude, it was the saddest thing. So this family was coming from the Outer Banks. If you don't know where that's at, that's where the Wright brothers first flew. They're going back to Michigan. They let their 16-year-old son drive. He fell asleep. The car had a head-on collision with a pickup. And when we got there, their bodies were all over the ground. You can see them. They had white sheets over them. And in that part of North Carolina, they're not used to that kind of emergencies. So they sat there for a little while. It was heart-wrenching. But afterwards, for years, I would see when I would drive past that intersection, I would see the family standing there with this fucking crazy look on their face, not knowing what was going on. And the first time I realized I could help somebody go to the light, that's the first thing I did.
Yeah, I remember you sharing that story with me.
Yeah. So I didn't have to go there to do it, but yeah, I did that, and we're going to drive past that tomorrow or Saturday. What's today?
Saturday. Today's Thursday.
Yeah. So Saturday. Yeah.
Yes.
Saturday. So we're going to go by there Saturday because this is Lodge weekend. Lakota's coming in town.
And we're going to be doing a medicine sweat too. So
yeah,
not your typical church sweats that's done.
No, this one's 7 rounds, not 4.
Yeah. And it might be a little warmer too.
Yeah. I'm ready for it. You know, I've done a bunch of these with her, and I don't know what was I listening to? Maybe Joel Osteen or something. And they were talking about gifts. And they said gifts are supposed to be opened, right? I don't give you a Christmas present and you just sit there and say, oh, wow, it's wrapped. Let me stick it in the closet, right?
Open it up.
Yeah. So open it up. And I started thinking about that. I'm like, you know, I'm wasting these gifts. I'm wasting the gift of doing a sweat lodge with one of the most powerful women on the planet. And that's Lakota One Heart. And anybody listening to this podcast can participate.
Hey ho.
So I don't know, it kind of changed my mindset. And I'm like, you know, this is going to be an adventure. And taking that, because I work that too, the work aspect of it out and looking at it with an open heart, like it through a child's eyes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it too. And, you know, Lakota has been teaching us over the past year, and it's culminating. She's getting older. She doesn't want to come travel.
No.
So it's a big honor for a Native American to teach white boys the craft. It goes against the Native American tradition.
It does.
And everything about Lakota is she does it her way.
Yeah. Well, she says that we're all one race, the human race, right? And, you know, we just went through these elections and we just had the installment of the new president and people are upset and arguing this and that. What a new concept it would be if we could just respect each other. You have a different opinion than I do on a lot of topics, but we could still be friends.
I think they say it's a matako way asin.
Yeah, it is. So we did, you know, Reiki 1 was interesting for me, man. It opened, for me, I was like the computer, and the Reiki download was the hard drive for me to connect to God and the spirit. I already had gifts. I didn't understand that. I don't think at that time I even knew I had gifts. I just knew my life was weird. But after that day, everything started to change. I started doing long distance healings for people like that week. You know, you'll learn that in level 1.
No.
You know, I remember that lady, I talked about it in the podcast where I connected with her and pulled her heart out, and she had 3 metal pins in there, and I pulled those out because they weren't supposed to be there. And afterwards she said, what did you do to my heart? And I'm like, oh man, you know, did I do something wrong? And she said her heart had this flutter that the doctor said, you're just going to have to live with, and it was gone. That the 3 pins, from what I could see, represented 3 instances. In this instance, 3 men had hurt her. And I just remember after that thinking to myself, who am I?
It's funny. So Reiki 1 is about opening the heart, and we teach God moments. You know, some people don't have God moments, but if you have a pet, you've got God moments.
Yeah.
If you've ever birthed a child or had a child, when you first held that child and looked in their eyes for the first time, you look at a baby. I mean, that just opens your heart.
Children are amazing, man. They're amazing. They love us, and they're fun to play with, and they're fun to get back to the parent at this age.
Yes, they are.
I got shit to do, man. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going somewhere else. You know, perfect example. My Abigail is in doggy daycare today. I'm like, girl, you're pissing me off. It's time for you to go somewhere, burn off that energy. So I took her to the beach yesterday. Dude, I don't know, it was like 5 degrees on the beach, and I don't get cold. Usually, I'm always in shorts. I had long pants on, and I still was cold. I'm like, "We ain't gonna hang out long." But we took her over, and she gets a pup cup, and I get a something from Starbucks, so she likes that.
She loves it.
Yeah. So if you are around Abigail and you have a Starbucks cup in your hand, you might wanna hold on to it. She's gonna be like she's like, "Hey, there's my pup cup." After that Reiki class I went to, because I was directly next door to the Edgar Cayce Foundation, and they had this psychic guy come in, this psychic medium. And I'm like, "Well, we'll go to it." It was free and had a good time. I think it's free. I don't remember, but I think it was free. And he held up this picture so nobody could see it, but it was facing him. And the exercise was, tell me what's in the picture.
Mm.
And I think I got like 80% of it right.
Mm.
That just blew my mind. I mean, it was a tropical picture with palm trees, a boat that was upside down, a red ball, and behind it was like some mountain. Like there's a waterway, then there's a mountain. And I guessed 80% of that. And my girlfriend that was sitting there, she just looks at me. She's like, "Dude, what the fuck?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just seen it." And that was so, I thought I was losing my mind.
Well, sometimes I'll offer you this. So as children who need to protect themselves, we exercise that gift of protection.
Mm-hmm.
So we start to see things before they happen.
Yeah.
It could be generational too. It's probably what made you an excellent warrior too.
Yeah.
Because you were able to see things before they happened. And so that gift has continued to stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have exercised that muscle.
Yeah.
Because as my wife teaches, it's that sixth sense that we just don't have to train anymore. Because why? When you have a computer, you can just look at it and go, "Oh, that's what the weather's going to be." It's not like Lakota's at the mountain, no internet. She's got to kind of go, "Okay, I got to get my stores together. The storm's coming."
Yeah.
So it's like the animals have to have this sense of what do I need. So that sixth sense for us as human beings, we don't need it because we just pick up the phone and get all our answers.
Sure. Well, I know everything was changing for me during that time. I mean, it still changes for me today. One of the fun things I learned, God, I didn't even understand it during the first Gulf War, is, I don't know, I've got the unique ability to stop time or slow it down significantly. So when we were I told this story already on the show, but a Scud missile was coming over. Those were the missiles that they were shooting at us. And the first time it happened, I kind of panicked. We all did. It's the first time we were under fire. We're young men. And I stopped time. I just remember looking around. It was like being in the movies. I was looking around. I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck is happening?" I walked up to my buddy and I waved my hand in front of his eyes, and he's just sitting there not moving. I walked around. I went outside. I got in my fighting hole, and I'm like, "Well, I can't be out here without them." So I went back to where I was standing, and I don't know what I did, but time started again. It was like I was walking in slow motion, and they were doing what they were doing. And, it was really, really bizarre. So last year I was in this relationship, and we're off and on so much. So whenever she'd come around and I wanted to spend time with her, I would slow time down by 3/4. It was fun, it'd slow down time. So it was me, her, and another lady at my kitchen table one day. And it felt like 6 hours had gone by. And the one lady goes, "Jesus, I feel like I've been here for 6 fucking hours." And the person I was seeing, we looked at each other and started laughing because I wanted to enjoy the moment. And I don't know how I do that, but I did that in a class this weekend. And I felt like I was 17 hours into a 6-hour class. I'm like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I slowed down time this morning because I was running slow and I forgot to turn it back up." And it's just weird. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know anybody else that does it, but I definitely can do it when there's a high stress or something really important that's going on. I can easily do it.
Survival.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've even had instances where I left my body and going up above the tent and stuff where we're at, and I could clearly see people walking around, and I don't know what that's called, but that was fun. I'm like, okay, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so yeah, the level 1 changed all that for me. It changed everything. So I think the hardest part for me was the guilt and shame I put on myself over it. That I felt guilty and I felt shame because Wes isn't sitting in his real estate office. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to be there. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel comfortable. It was the guilt and shame that here I am not doing what my family says I'm supposed to be doing. Right? I mean, who else has that issue? Your family puts you in a box. This is who you're supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to smile. This is how you're supposed to love. This is who you're supposed to love. It's like an epidemic. And I always have been the black sheep in the family. My eldest brother fucking hates me for that. He's like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I'm going to do what I want to do, brother. You know, you can stay in the box or you can do what the fuck you want to do. I ain't staying in the box. And this is a pretty fun box to be out of.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the black sheeps changed the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I seen this thing and they were talking about black sheeps. They said, if you're the black sheep of the family, you are actually the one there to break the chains, break the generational curses and bring in generational blessings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Well, I mean, you're doing that.
I am.
You're raising money now for what's the name of your organization?
It's called Friends and Family Affected by Fentanyl. And I got everything up and running. Took me a while. God, by the time you get your EIN and all your business stuff and everything together, and then I had to learn the Microsoft computer all over again. And I mean, I'm telling you, then we spent 5 days in Charleston, just, and I didn't quite get everything done, and I had to go back to the bank a bunch of times, and I was frustrated. But I would pray, and I knew that this was something higher. Because at first I didn't want to have anything to do with this whole foundation fentanyl thing. I was like, fuck it. I don't want to deal with any of it.
Sure.
And now I'm being blessed to be able to talk about this, because that's the slogan for my foundation is let's talk about it. And we're going to take the shame out of the game. So
yeah,
because the shame is the thing that needs to be healed. And it's empathy that heals it. So I have to have empathy for myself when I am going through those struggles and those tribulations. And that's where Reiki 1. Reiki 1 evolved to that point where I could. If you can't love yourself, who's going to do it?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of us, I know I did, I'll just speak for me. I felt like I needed somebody to love me, so I felt something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when I realized I had gifts, in my mind, I'm like, I've got to fix what's upstairs or I'll never be the healer that God put here. And I'm like, if he gave me a gift, I'm gonna honor that this time, because I didn't honor him most of my life. But I'm going to honor this. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just everything lined up. I've been to therapy before. I've done those things. That didn't work. Because nobody told me that life happens for me and not to me. Nobody told me that I'm a direct reflection of everybody that shows up in front of me. Nobody said, hey, Wes, you can change your life in a minute if you learn how to think differently. Mm. But they did with you guys. You guys started talking about that shit. And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Why isn't this public knowledge?
You know, it's funny, and I've been on a recovery journey for a long time. So I like to say I came with a drinking problem or a drug problem, and I discovered that I had a thinking problem. Yeah, there's different processes to help with that thinking, because it's the stories, it's the thinking that keeps me in those victim emotions.
That's right.
And I had to go through what I had to go through. Even through this with my son, I still grieve and I still feel responsible for where he's at, but he chose to check out at whatever point.
That's right.
And that's been difficult.
It has been difficult. when if you've never had the opportunity to meet your son Vaughn, I mean, he was beautiful. I love that fucking kid. He was huge too. How tall was he?
6'4".
6'4". He's a big bastard, man. He'd just come up with this just innocence of that he had, and he'd be like, give you this bear hug, and I love Vaughn, and we're gonna honor that fucking dude, man.
Yes, we are.
For the rest of our lives.
Yes, we are.
He is not forgotten.
And his son's coming.
Yeah, when's his son? When's Phoenix gonna be here?
Well, we're thinking between the 14th and the 25th.
Yeah, there's no hippie-ish and stuff in your family, the name Phoenix. But that's what it is, man. He's rising from the fucking flames.
And he picked that. Him and Cordelia picked that name out.
Nice.
So
Nice. I like that. I remember talking to Vaughn one day, and he looked at me, and he had this guilt and shame for where he was at, right? Which is, I understand it. And he says, Wes, look at everything you have and this and that. And I'm like, son, dude, I didn't start accumulating anything until I was in my like mid-30s or whatever. I don't know. And if you look on paper, people are like, this guy isn't where he should be. But I don't look at paper. I look at my connection to God. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. And when I told him that, just the look on his face, I'm like, dude, you're 23. You're fine. You've got so much stuff going, but that his journey wasn't to be here, right? Or if it was, he'd be here. But he's cool. I like him. So I am excited about the foundation that you guys are doing. You know, I see you up at the White House talking to the president and being there, educating people and changing people's lives, because the things that haunt us grow in the dark.
And they end up being the fertilizer for your life.
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I know it's been a hard road.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can change in a moment.
We can.
We can elevate. We can share. As Andrea say all the time, you're one vibrational shift away from being who you want to be.
Amen. Hey-ho.
I was talking to my friend Beth. I'm doing a group healing thing tonight with Beth, and I said something about the person you're supposed to be, and she's like, you know what? I don't like it when people say that, because I feel like I'm failing if that's who I'm supposed to be. So I try to say the person that you came here to be. I think that's better. I think it sounds better, right?
Why not? Present moment. Let's stay in the present moment.
Yeah. And I like working towards being the person I'm supposed to be. Because
what if you're already that right now?
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. In this moment.
Could be.
Because we won't get this moment back.
No.
We have this moment.
We got the moment with the jet flying over again.
And that dude's up there, you know, flying that jet. Just, you know, he's just freaking loving life.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, I think the thing I like about this healing journey so far is it's magical.
It is magical.
It is just magical. Whether you have all the crazy gifts, and I see people that are so much more gifted than me, and in the beginning, I'd be like, oh, I wish I had that. I'm like, I'm good with what I got.
Me too.
Because I don't even know what I got yet.
No, right.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
So somebody asked me the other day, said, hey, Wes, how do you know what gifts you have? I said, go Google, what are the different clairs? I forget what they call them, like a clairaudience and stuff like that. Google that. That's what I did. And I looked at the definitions of them all. And I said, okay, that's what I have. And then you can Google how do you magnify and strengthen that gift.
You practice.
And because I'm probably the most humble person I know. Ask me, I'll tell you.
Exactly. You'd have to give the humble award back now.
I know, right? Right. I mean, I've had a couple people tell me this week, they said, you're so humble. I'm like, yeah, I know. I appreciate that. And shockingly good looking. So it just works for me.
And grounded.
Mm-hmm. And grounded, yeah. But the reality is I am very fucking humble when it comes to this work.
Yeah.
I might tease and joke because I think it's fun, but I take it serious. And somebody asked me the other day about, I don't know, we were talking about healing work, and I said, you need to hear this. I said, when I walk in that fucking healing room, when I'm in that healing room, I am the most gifted person on this planet. There is no humility. That is who I am. I am secure in my gifts. I'm secure in my connection to God. I am the most powerful person on this planet. I have to be. I have to be.
Yeah.
What do you want me to go in there and say, oh gosh, I don't know? Fuck that, dude. We're going to open that dimension. We're going to cross that realm, and I'm going to do the work. And if something shows itself to me, which I've had happen many times, I'm like, where'd that come from? We're going to pull that out of that client, and we're going to help that energy go back to the foot of Jesus. And, we're going to change lives. And when Jesus flows through us together, just like with you, like everybody, when Jesus flows through you, we change things.
We do.
And it's
And
fun.
there's a team, and I'm never alone. I'm never alone, because there's always a team there.
Yep.
And that has helped me through addiction, because the addiction wants to say, you don't want to mess with those people. They don't love you. Oh, look at them. They're talking about me. And they're so self-centered in their own world that no one's talking about you.
Yeah, they're right. In one aspect, you don't love yourself, and you are talking about yourself. That's the reflection. So if you feel that, or people are doing that, that's because you do that. If my negative self-talk is I'm a piece of shit, people are going to treat me like I'm a piece of shit. Right.
And the biggest thing that I had to overcome was not being enough.
Mm-hmm.
I still strive and strive and strive. And then I still sit there at the end of the day and go, oh, it's still not enough. And it's like, no, not true.
Well, I got the bright idea. I was going to reach out to the local board of realtors, which is, I own a real estate company. And, well, I take that back. I reached out to the multiple listing service, which is a company called, well, I ain't going to say the name, but I reached out to the local listing service, and I was going to volunteer to help them with property management stuff, right? I mean, I've been doing this 32 years. My dad and I helped most of the big real estate companies set up their property management divisions. I know property management. And I called somebody that was on the board and said, hey, question, why am I not being selected for this? And she said, well, you're just getting back into real estate, and we need some people with experience. And I started to laugh. I said, well, except for the fact that I helped your firm and probably 12 of the other largest firms in this market set up theirs, I guess that experience doesn't count. So it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But I was nice to her, but I let her know. And I probably should have said thank you and went on, but I didn't. I wasn't rude either. And when I got the phone and thought about it, I said, what? Why am I trying to put myself where God doesn't want me to be? He's got the door shut. I don't want to be there anyways. That's the old version of Wes saying, oh, I should be on this committee. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. No, the fuck you shouldn't. You should be praying. You should be focused on your real estate company. You should be focused on your healing business. You should be focusing on building God's kitchen. You should be focusing on the stuff that God put on your plate, not playing old limiting beliefs, right? Because that's what I was doing. But at least today I can walk away from that conversation and not be angry about it. I thought it was kind of funny though.
That is.
Yeah. So God just gave me a little slap with a belt, said, stay your punk ass over there.
So for me, I'm just going to mention this because I'm just that guy. So for me, should is like sharding. It smells like shit, and it's very shame-based.
Yeah.
So I had to work a long time to erase it from the self-talk. I could erase it from the speak talk, but the self-talk took a long time. And so I had to replace the word with might or could. And that was a tough one. That's a tough one because basically, if I should on myself, which I did forever, I mean, I am setting myself up to stay on the shame wheel.
Yeah.
And today, I have no desire to get on the shame wheel at all. And Reiki helped me with that. So just circling it back to to the Reiki 1. And then the Reiki 2 is where you actually heal other people, and you can do it distantly. But to still, the self-healing is the key, because you learn how to do it to yourself, is you know it works. So then that gives you the empowerment to be able to do the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, I had a friend of mine, her mother-in-law reached out, seeing if, what do you do type deal, see if this is going to work for her. And, you know, there's a story that goes with this woman, and because the lady that sent it to me is a friend of mine. And, you know, one of the blessings through all this of learning about myself and how energy works and forgiveness is I was able to set my feelings and emotions towards this individual to the side to speak clearly to her. And she wanted to question me to see if I was, you know, if I fit her beliefs. And you can have your beliefs. It's okay. I'm okay with that. And so I kind of told her that how Jesus flows through me and stuff. And she never reached out for a session, which at some level I was grateful for. But the other part was like, whatever happened, however that lays out, it's what it's supposed to be. But part of me is like, man, if she came in, maybe I can shift something, but maybe I shifted something without even her coming in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what about that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that ripple effect of just having, because I got to tell her what I thought of her daughter-in-law, and she's a powerful, amazing woman, and she's stepping into her healing practice right now. So I don't know. It's just, our word is so important. You know, the little things that we say. Lakota, you've heard her say it's as powerful as a nuclear bomb, and I never believed that before. She would say that, and I'd be like, yeah, what the fuck ever. But it is. A nuclear bomb can tear down this house, but love can change the world.
Yes, it does. And the first universal law that my wife teaches is word.
Mm-hmm.
Word.
Yeah, trust me. Trust me, Drew. Trust me. Hey, you live with her, man. Yeah, I'm just like, I'll see Eric. I'm like, your fucking wife is right. God damn. You know, fuck.
I know. I figure if I hang out long enough with her, I'm going to end up being one of those kind of people that are right all the time.
That, or they're going to find your ass in the bayou getting eaten by an alligator, one or the other. I don't know what that's going to be, but yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, my old sponsor used to say, don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. And I would think, dude, you know, it's been years and years and years. And the reality is, if we change our word, the miracle's instant. The miracle's instant. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I just want you to be the woman who you came here to be. You're so gifted and talented and stuff. And she said, nobody's ever said that to me before. I was like, well, why do you think that God sent me?
I'm just looking in your eyes over there, and I love you.
Love you too, man. Hey, as long as you stay over there, we ain't taking a cold shower after this. I can tell you that, but I love you too. But I mean, this stuff is almost, this healing journey is almost like neurosurgeon doing surgery. Is so precise and so delicate. We have to be so precise and so delicate in the words that we say, because it changes everything that quick.
It changes the frequency. It changes the vibration.
Yeah, it does. You know, in the last week and a half, man, every ex-girlfriend I've had since I've been divorced 12 years ago, which isn't a lot. It's only a couple, 3 or 4. Every single one of them has reached out this week. The funny thing is each one of the conversations, it wasn't a verbal conversation, it was either a text or an email. They were good. And every single one of them apologized to me for something, and I got to apologize to them for something. It was cool.
It is cool.
So I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, what does this mean? You know, there's this deeper meaning. What is this good? Is this bad? Am I, you know, like, I don't know what to do.
I think the planets are aligning on Saturday, bro.
Yeah, they are. They are. the one young lady that I lived with in the haunted house, Sugar's mom, that little dog Sugar I had, Kennedy and Sugar were my dogs that I had, and they both died last year. Sugar was her dog. So the nice part about that is she messaged saying she's having nightmares about Sugar. And I'm like, well, she died almost a year ago. And I got to tell her about that story of how she went home. Jesus came in to help take Sugar home. I felt him right outside the wall of the space right above us. And I was grateful for that. And I think I gave her some closure. Then she's like, she sent me a picture of a Marine Corps Christmas ornament. She's like, oh, give me your address. I'll send it. I'm like, you can keep it. I'm like, I'm not, I'm being holy and spiritual, but you ain't getting my address. I'm good, man. You're not coming to my house.
Well, maybe the beacon's off now.
Yeah. I'm just like, you can recycle that. Love you. And she just disappeared. I'm like, all right. Well, one of the things I found is since I have a new cell phone, all the old numbers when you get a new cell phone are not blocked anymore. So I've got new blocked phone numbers in my phone. But I'm grateful for that. And, I'm grateful for the fact, especially, the last relationship is, I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't crying afterwards. And she wasn't mean. And I wasn't mean. So we can easily take our feelings and emotions and bash somebody. And I just don't want to do that anymore, because then I have to make an amends. And it's like, now I got to say, I'm sorry, because I work hard on cleaning my side of the street, because my side of the street's not clean all the time. Right. I mean, when you're humble, shockingly good looking and fucking highly successful, sometimes you even have shit on your side of the street. So, but next week's episode is going to be powerful. We got a ton. I think I've got 25 guests over the next, I don't know, however many months it's going to take to go through, of all these healers in this market. A good bit of them. People that are going to come on here and they're going to talk about their gifts. Margaret's going to be here. We had to reschedule a couple times. That was just stuff wasn't lining up for me. But, when I was writing out the list of people to have on, to come on the show and talk about spirituality and connecting to God and having and utilizing these gifts, I'm like, man, what a blessing I have. What a blessing.
What a blessing.
I am, when I started this journey, I met, Jackie and Lakota and Sandra Grace and Trinae and Margaret and Dawn and just all these people, all these powerful, powerful women that are deeply connected, deeply spiritual, and can do things. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do the things that you do. I can do some stuff, but these ladies, I'm just like, I am humbled to have that in my life. It's like the perfect storm.
It is.
They all saved me at some level, or more so.
And you were important for them.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget that.
Thank you.
And I think we should come back afterwards and do a show on the lodge that we're going to do on Saturday.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that would be fun.
We can do that.
Because the lodge, for some people, that's a foreign concept. But lodges have been going on for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So
they have. I'll try to get Lakota to come on and do some recording of the podcast. Sometimes she will, sometimes she won't. And she has asked ancestors, and I'm like, okay, well,
can we get an answer?
Are they going to text you fucking back or what? I mean, just like, but
maybe we'll plant that seed this weekend.
Yeah, well, dude, she's got like 7 hours of readings on Friday. Then we got the lodge on Saturday. Then Sunday, she's speaking at what's the church on 14th, 15th Street at the beach? What is that?
Fellowship of the Inner Light.
Yeah, the Fellowship of the Inner Light. And then she has a group stone healing that afternoon there. And then she'll probably go back Monday or Tuesday. But she's been on her mountain living off grid, and it's been 5 degrees for a month.
And that Fellowship of the Inner Light, that'll be on tape. So that will be available somewhere on the internet.
Yep. So it'll be good. But what I wanted to say is, maybe they didn't save me. Maybe they gave me the opportunity to save myself. because if we don't reach for the rope as we're drowning, because so many people look the other way. I'm like, the rope's right there. Turn around, turn around, turn it around. I can't. They get so stuck and so they're like, I'm going to argue. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be hurt, broken, making a mess. And I'm like, well, I love you from a distance then because I can't be there.
Such a keen observation.
All right. As we have another jet flying over the house.
That's right.
But Eric, hey man, thanks for coming on the show. We got lots of stuff coming up and it is getting ready to be February soon.
Thank you.
So it's been interesting, but I love you, man. I appreciate it.
I love you too. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Enlightenment Unknown with Wes Coons, your guide on the quest for self-discovery and the version of you we haven't met yet.